Hello, everybody, and welcome to Top and Tech. It's good to be back. Today, we're talking about cloud. With us, we have a couple of great guests, and of course, we're being moderated by Karamjit from Digital News Asia. And I'll let him introduce our guests. But today, we're talking about cloud infrastructure. In the day of COVID, we're really looking at how we can adopt cloud, become more efficient, give us more accessibility and scalability to manage expanding customer demand and changes in the ecosystem. And definitely our business, it allows us to have our business continuity plans, even during the pandemic. Um, some business owners continue to be a bit hesitant to migrate. What are the concerns really? What are the technical skills gap? Or what are the costs? What are the capabilities necessary? And how do we deal with security? And so basically, how do we adopt cloud in the time of COVID-19? So thanks so much for joining us in Top and Tech, and over to you, Karamjit.
Thank you. I hope everybody can hear me. My video has frozen on my screen, but I think the audio is more important. You can hear me, right, Prem?
Yeah, I can hear you, Karamjit. Go ahead.
Okay, loud and clear. Yeah, don't worry, I'll sort it out. But that's a good post of me there, frozen on the screen. One of the marvels of technology. We're going to fine tune it. But anyway, everybody, thank you for joining us. Prem, thanks for the introduction words. I think cloud is synonymous with going digital, right? So we all see a global trend. It's not a national, it's not a regional trend. It's a global trend to go global, to go digital. And it's all about survival, right? It's not sexy anymore. And today's discussion is kind of interesting because it's saying, hey, stay calm and just cloud it. So the reason we want people to stay calm also, people seem to be afraid, especially small and medium enterprises, seem to be a little bit afraid to go on the cloud because they worry that it's technically very challenging, maybe even expensive. But I think it's actually more how it can be complicated. And our discussion today is to reassure you that it is not as bad as you think it is. And we're not going to lie and say it's not complicated at all. But I think the barriers to adoption are pretty low because everyone knows you've got to get it more usable. We've got a very good cross mix of panelists here. We've got a cloud expert in the form of Siak from Exabytes, right? They help a lot of SMEs to go digital, to get on the cloud. And then we've got an SME themselves, out of Malacca, which is a brokerage company / securities company. And they've already gently started their journey. And we're going to hear from Chia about how she's managing it and the challenges she faces. And then we're going to actually end. Our third speaker is CS Chin from the SME Association of Malaysia. He's the Deputy Vice President. CS is interesting, everyone, because before this, he was actually the chairman of PICOM Malaysia. And PICOM Malaysia is the National ICT Association of the country. So he's very, very familiar with what going on in the tech space. He has moved out from PICOM and now he's helping SMEs to go digital because, of course, we want our SMEs to be competitive. Going digital in whatever form just means you're more competitive. And if you're competitive means you can survive and your business does better, right? So that's a very straightforward way of how we're putting it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with Chan first from Exabytes. Chan, if you can, join in and unmute your mic. I can see you're still muted. Don't have to be shy. And you can share with us, your perspective of what you see. Then I'll jump in and ask you some questions. So, although I think you've got a very interesting video you want to show everyone about how easy it is to get on to digitization and to get on the cloud even, correct?
Yes. Thanks, Karan, for the wonderful introduction, and thanks everyone for having me. I'll start off today's panel session by sharing a short video.
Dalam setiap kepayahan, pasti ada peluang. Makcik Chia yang pada awalnya hanya menjual pisang goreng, kini mula menjual barangan runcit untuk meniara kehidupannya pasca PKP. Namun, Makcik Chia menyedari memiliki kedai runcit sahaja tidak memadai. Dia perlu berada dalam talian supaya lebih ramai orang tahu mengenai kewujudan kedai runcitnya dan bagi membangunkan perniagaan beliau. Makcik Chia menyedari dia perlu mencari penyelesaian yang baru untuk menjual barangan runcitnya. Sama-sama kita bantu untuk ubah status kehidupan seseorang. Sama-sama kita ubah cabaran ini menjadi peluang. Kewujudan digital amat penting. Sama-sama kita bina laman web anda dan bantu senaraikan barangan jualan anda di atas talian. Sama-sama kita kembangkan perniagaan, mendorong penjualan dan meningkatkan pendapatan kita. Jadikan bisnes anda juara melalui media sosial, teknologi enjin carian dan pengiklanan digital. Ucapkan selamat tinggal kepada batasan. Fahami pelanggan dengan lebih baik dan tawarkan perkhidmatan yang terbaik kepada mereka melalui analisis data yang tepat. Pelanggan yang berpuas hati adalah sangat berharga. Uruskan sebarang pertanyaan mereka dengan cekap dan perbaiki pengalaman mereka bersama perniagaan anda menerusi pemasaran email dan SMS.
Sama-sama kita berdiri teguh. Sama-sama kita capai kejayaan. Sama-sama kita.
So I guess this is a very classic example that has been happening since wherever MCO started. Many thousands of makcik Kia out there already transformed, but still we have many more yet to be transformed. So I guess this is where we want to discuss about today. Karan, back to you.
Yeah, no, so that video is interesting because obviously, so by the way, makcik Kia is a real person, right? It's not an actor, correct?
This one is an actor because the real makcik Kia is actually a is a representation of all the small and micro businesses out there.
Okay, cool. So, but there are real examples of small SMEs which have already, moved their business to digital, right?
Exactly. Like today, I think you went to most of the hawker centers, right? They already started to accept all the e-wallets. This never happens in the past.
Correct. And it's a case of survival, like you said, right? But then,
Yes.
Chan, if you're looking at that, for some people may say that, hey, going digital, because going digital means e-commerce, really, right? You want to talk about where you can bring in the business, right? So it's about money. So e-commerce is a logical sense. But when you're on a digital, when you're enabling your business to go e-commerce, are you then on the cloud already also, or you're not?
Yes. So this is something that often, right, most of the businesses, even large enterprise, they find it confusing, right? The line between the digital e-commerce and cloud is actually getting more blur, right? So first of all, digital doesn't mean e-commerce. E-commerce is probably a subset, is a small part of the components of digital. And even when we say cloud, it doesn't mean during the early days, right, the infrastructure as a service or the data center as a cloud services.
Yep.
Today, the cloud services also expanded to, for example, various software as a service, even marketing as a service, etc. Even today, when we do the FB Live, the tools we are using is also form of the cloud services. So in today's world, without realizing, actually, a lot of us, including micro and small businesses out there, we are already using cloud somewhere or another, right?
Somewhere.
For example, yes, for example, right, the email services we are using is actually part of the cloud services. The cloud storage that we are using, like iCloud, Dropbox, all this equivalent is also a form of services in the cloud. So it's about how we continue to embrace more, how can we use more, and how we can apply all these cloud services or tools to our day-to-day business so that it helps us to achieve a better efficiency or even potentially reduce costs, etc.
Reduce costs. Okay. So earlier, before we went live, you were saying that business was good across your logistics, your e-commerce, and your cloud business also, right? So
yes.
for your cloud business, when you say business is good, is it the larger companies you're saying becoming customers, or it's the SMEs? Because we want to try to see what's going on in the SME space, right?
Right. So sadly to say that we saw some of the existing customers' businesses, unfortunately, they have to shut down. But on the positive side, we saw there are a lot more of businesses that traditionally they didn't adopt any digital or web presence or cloud presence, but because of this pandemic and the MCO and all that, they actually accelerated and now they have their own web presence. We saw a lot of existing company who in the past already embraced cloud because of this change of situation environment. Now they actually invest even more. In the past, maybe they're just using a basic website and all that. But today, they are moving some of the day-to-day business application, where in the past might be still sitting in the server or computers, but now they are actually moving into the cloud, so that all the employees, when they work from home or they are not in the office, they still can operate and process the day-to-day business, right? So we see a very positive take-ups in terms of all these digital and cloud adoptions over the past 6 months.
Okay, that's great. I mean,
Looks like Karam disconnected.
I'm not sure whether you can hear me.
that happens in the technology world, right? Technical issues, it does happen.
Yeah.
We lost Karam.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Chan?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. So I think I think your comments are quite good. In terms of what you're seeing, what kind of sizes of companies are moving towards clouds? Are these the small companies, the medium companies, or the large companies? And how do different types of companies have problems? Let's say you're a small company. What kind of problems would you face compared to, say, a medium or a larger company?
This round is actually quite different, because we see almost everyone is started moving to adopt or embrace cloud. For example, small store sellers, traditional mom and pop shops, right? They will wanted to have their own online e-commerce presence. For mid-sized businesses where they already have some basic cloud services, they are looking into what they call use more cloud services or cloud tools, right? For example, a cloud-based payroll, cloud-based CRM, etc. For large enterprises or even government agencies, because everyone is using online, they can't do the transaction physically, so they need to even upgrade their cloud infrastructure to cater that kind of massive concurrent skills. When they launch something, right? So I think it's positive in that perspective.
okay. All right, sounds good. Hey, Prem, thanks for jumping in. I got frozen up. And then, but is my video moving already? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I had to quickly go and put some jello on my beard. But anyway, that's interesting that you're saying that people, of course, need to upgrade the infrastructure also as more and more interactions with customers, right? Or with in terms of for the government taxpayer goes online. So with that now, Chan, let's bring in an SME that is actually in the process of already started their digital journey and now trying to do more also. And we'll bring in Chia, you can just turn on your video and then join us on the show. And let's hear from you. Is small, as far as brokerages go, Malacca Securities is quite small, but I think they're progressive, and I know Chia is quite excited to show how many awards also they have won. You will see that in a presentation.
Yep. Hi everyone. Hi everyone, I'm Chia from Malacca Securities. So Malacca Securities is actually a stockbroking company with a focus in the retail market since 1963. Right. So I'm actually a third generation running the business, and also currently the executive director of the company. So yeah, so you can see from a slide, background was actually the recent award ceremony that we was held in Bursa, Malaysia.
Okay.
Right, we had actually a total of 22 awards, if I'm not wrong.
What?
Yeah. Wow. So that was for the sales force, right? So
hey, but this one, the Chinese in Penang will say you pao kaliao, man.
No lah, there's still a lot of other brokers that won awards as well.
Okay.
Cool. So yeah, so a bit about myself. So I'm actually a maths graduate, right? And I actually joined the company in year 2013. Right.
Okay.
So the company was actually already in the midst of transformation and
Okay.
very much putting a lot of focus on in online trading. Right.
Okay.
So I oversees the whole company growth plans and also the operations. So when I first started, I was very much into streamlining of all the manual processes at the back end. I also did a lot of enhancement to the system, parts by parts, to actually
Okay.
support the whole automation.
Correct.
Right. So only until recently, where we really started a more full-fledged approach to digitalization within the company. So we have initiated some of our cloud-based work productivity applications, and also for the past 1 to 2 years, we have been introducing a lot of digital marketing within the business itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess it's driven by that's the corporate background. Yeah. So it's driven by customers lah, because customers are going online. You cannot do it the old way. Although I know you've got 15 branches around the country, right?
Yeah, we have 17 locations actually. One of which is our HQ in Malacca.
Okay.
So because we have a vast history of 57 years. So yeah, and now we are at 17 locations, and also slightly over 200. Around 200 dealer representatives across Malaysia.
Okay.
So, and I think, to be honest, we are more well known as M Plus Online, our online trading platform, than Malacca Securities itself. Right? I think it's due to the whole marketing and branding exercises and a lot of work that we put through for the last 10 years.
Okay.
In building the online trading platform. So actually, besides offering,
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was saying, besides offering, the stockbroking services to the retail market, in the recent years, we have also opened up, expand into the Islamic stockbroking window space, which is actually our key growth area.
Okay.
Right? And also, we have also launched discretionary trading services in the year 2018. And also, most recently, actually during MCO itself, we have actually obtained a license and also approval to offer corporate finance services as well. So I would say,
pending.
Yeah. So I would say, we can actually proudly say that we have actually successfully transformed, from a very traditional broker to actually key online player in the market, in the industry itself.
Okay. So it's interesting. I think it's very much driven by your customers and customer behavior, and you had to adapt. Now, your journey earlier, you said you started about 10 years ago with some back-end processes. So the key question is for everyone listening, do you think today that Malacca Securities is a more efficient, better run company with the digitalization you've done than before? Or some of the old-timers, your senior staff say, hey, yeah, the old way better, let's go back. Don't listen to DNA and, Prem, Malaysia, Kini, all that.
No, I think it's definitely more efficiently run, I would say.
Okay.
I think this when we first started, when I first joined, there was a lot of manual processes and a lot of paperwork and everything. So, but with technology, we'll be able to enable automation. We will be able to scale, and we don't have to hire people to handle volumes, right? So we can actually use systems to handle volumes. I think because in our business, it's all about volume. It's not, it's about transactions and all these things. Yeah. So the thing can be, the processes are quite automated to a sense where it's quite standard, right? So it's only the volume game that we are actually working on.
Understood. So I'm glad that you brought up that you are not a technology graduate or very tech savvy, but the fact that you have managed to do it, I guess because the company just saw it just made business sense, right? To start going digital. And it sounded like it's a journey, right? You didn't bring in a big time consultant, say, by in 12 months from now, you want to be 50% digital or whatever. Seemed to be step by step. It sounds like it, huh?
Yeah. It is a step-by-step approach, and it was very much initiated within the management itself, or within our own company. Then bringing in consultants. But of course, I think one of the key factors actually is because I think a lot of our staff and myself as well is actually in a more Gen Y, Gen X kind of generation, where we are more
No,
exposed.
no, Gen X. Gen X means you're like 10 years ahead, or what
Yeah,
years,
so we
or
are
what
more
years.
the Gen Y, or the millennials kind.
Okay.
So that's why I think we are more exposed to this digital tools as well.
Okay, that's very interesting. So interesting that you bring that up. So in a way, it's pushed by customer behavior, and then internally within, at least within your corporate culture, because the staff are young, they're saying, "Hey, why are we doing the old way, right? The outdated way. There's a better way to do it." So very interesting. Okay, good. So what I'll do now is, I think I'm really excited for us, all of us are, to hear what CS. CS, you can turn on your video and join us now, because for all of you listening in, we're in for a real treat, because the SME Association of Malaysia just finished a survey of their members, and I think they surveyed over 1,000 members. And this is very fresh data. They surveyed them on all things around the business, but I think CS has extrapolated the digital version, the digital portion of the survey, and in terms of what people are doing and what their intentions are also. And it's going to be interesting to hear what he has got to say. And if I remember correctly, he's also going to share those slides with us, so all of you can get to take away some very fresh data points also that Bank Negara, that Bursa Malaysia, that nobody has. So it'll be quite interesting. He gave us a sneak preview yesterday, but I won't spoil it, and I'm actually eager to hear about what they find, what is the meaning of the data that they've got, because this is coming from their members themselves. So okay, CS, I see your screen, your survey is up already. You're ready to go. So do share with us, if you want to give a quick background of the survey and why the association did it also, and then we can go through the survey and the key points.
Thank you, Sekarang. Good afternoon, everybody. You can see, right? Okay.
Okay.
Now, okay, I want to just go and talk a little bit about SME Malaysia.
Sure.
We are an NGO and organization, a non-profit organization formed 25 years ago. And today we have close to about 10,000 indirect members with 1,000 direct members. We are a federation, and we represent the SME community and association companies in Malaysia. Yeah, I think for those few slides earlier, talk about classification SME and also the SME backbone as economy.
By state, okay. Okay, I think we have lost CS again. I think his audio went off first before we lost him. So
Yeah, I think we have a bad line. But anyway,
okay,
I'll go straight to the survey that we did, and if you can see from the slide that the number of company that participated in the survey done during the post RMCO, there was we do a 5-day survey and complete.
Okay, that's very good. 1,700 people.
On the 22nd of August, and that the number of category of customer coming from a different sector of businesses, and most of it, as you can see, that is from retail and other services, because SME
services
mainly are formed of this category. Yeah, 54% are services, and those are people who really need to digitize and transform. You know, most interesting I want to point out is if you go further down, and the number of slides I have now, I want to show you the one particular slide that is on digitization.
Okay.
We asked the question of have your company embarked on the digitization journey? As you can see, that out of the 1,700 companies that put out the survey, we have 57%, which is 969 companies have not embarked on digitization journey. Which for those company who's providing such services, is a huge market for you out there, right?
Yeah.
And interestingly, if you go to the next chart, that it can show you that we ask if you have embarked in digitization, and what kind of success or that you found, what the gain if you go in digitization. And you can see that 70% of them have no regrets, and
Very high, yeah.
really very high growth in their digitization journey. Right, so this is a good sign, and Malaysia is transforming. And if you look at the next slide, that I just want to point out that if you do not have embarked in digitization transformation, how many will go towards that?
Correct.
And take that. And you can see it's 50-50. So for those survey we done out of those 1,700, you can see that most of them are keen to go into digitization, right? So, if I move on to the last slide, I just want to show you that you can go to this link, and the link that I have pointed up here, and you can download the full report. Some of the question in the report is about how SME suffer, or how they found that the incentive, digitization, including digitization grant that will help them, and you can have a clearer picture of how generalized the SME feel. And I do hope in future, if you do any such survey, please join in and give your feedback.
I think you've got 1,700 people. That's very good. So I guess when the association CS, when you look at the data, especially around the technology digital portion, what is the key takeaway for you? What do you all say, guys? We need to do this right away to help move the needle. What was the key outcome for you all from the digital portion of the survey?
I mean, it's very clear that most of them have taken the journey, of digitization, but still not enough, because in fact, from what we know, this is just a simple survey. From what we know on the ground is that there are many other services which require them to embark in, and they are still looking into it. And fortunately, the government under Penjana come out, even before that, they already have this digitization matching grant, which is run by MDEC and Bank Simpanan National, which I think is a good sign that the government realized that the SME really needs help, and then really needs to transform themselves to utilize whatever services they are available. And a lot of education, a lot of information got to be put in front of them, and channel like this, the webinar like this also can help them to get into themselves into digitization journey. Okay, that's good. Okay, I think if the other two also, Chan and Chia, you can both turn on your videos and come on. I think so when you say it's good, the sign it looks promising, and maybe it is also in the sense I'm glad that not 100% say those who are not on digital yet plan to go digital, because then there's too much at one go. So 49%, 50%, that's good, right? You want to do it, gradually, right? Slowly. So, but I guess the key question I want to ask, and I brought this up kind of earlier, is that I'll start with you, CS. Businesses seem to think that going to cloud is difficult. Maybe last time they used to think expensive. Now the word difficult is more prevalent, I feel. So what would you say to them to that? And how do they start that first step for those who haven't started yet? I think difficult is a word that we always hear, but mainly also because of they do not understand the cost of digitization, and a lot of them think it's quite expensive to go to digitization. But like what Chan said earlier, that many other services which they have been using, have been utilizing, they don't realize, which in fact, compared to a couple of years ago, in fact, the cost of digitization now is getting lower and lower. And a lot of services are on cloud-based, and you do not have to pay a huge lump sum upfront. You can just subscribe a minimum services, then a minimum amount, and you can get the services that you need to. There are many solutions now, which I think is how to bring forward to them, how to let them know. In fact, at the SME Association, we planned before the MCO to have a national roadshow to go with a couple of agencies such as SME Core, MDEC, as well as Bank Negara, to go around the country to meet everyone on the ground, because most of them are outside the outskirts. If you can see that the response that we get, in early page, if you download our full report, the responses doesn't come from Kuala Lumpur, KL, Selangor. We came for whole country. We even had good participation from Terengganu people. So from there, you can roughly gauge that this digitization journey is not solely on the central part of KL or Malaysia, but it's throughout the whole country. Right.
That's good. And I think I also kind of sense that the beauty is that the awareness is already national. And I think it's because, the COVID thing is a global situation, and you're hearing about, digital is the way to survive left, right, center, from whatever from Indonesia, from anywhere in the world, right? So that is great. So only now is the thing about how to start, and that's why I wanted to know about the fear. They still think it's technically difficult. So for Chia, was it difficult for you all to begin your journey? And then as you've already digitized, you want to go to the cloud, what is your fear? Because when they hear digital, I think people are not so scared now. But when they hear cloud, maybe there's an extra element of concern or fear. So I could be wrong, but what is your experience?
I think for us, what we did was actually we approached digital in a very hybrid manner, where a lot of internally, our work processes and all this, we actually start using a lot of cloud applications, right? So things like those productivity. There's a productivity tool produced by the Giant G company.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, so that we actually utilize it for our internal workflow. So it actually we can actually see the potential, and actually we actually use it a lot more during the MCO, because it promotes a lot of collaboration whilst we have to work from home, right? And I think a lot of times is we start small, right? We don't go in and just say, okay, this is something that we just want to digitize everything, right?
Yeah.
So we start small, bits by bits, parts by parts.
Okay.
So I think now I would say nearly everything, and internally, our HR, all our even our health benefits, everything, it's actually utilizing cloud application.
Okay.
Right. So I think for our core application, like core systems, like our trading platform itself, is not in cloud yet, but it's actually hosted in co-location in Bursa, and also data centers. Yeah. So I think that is because we are in a very highly regulated industry.
Yes.
Bursa Malaysia and also Securities Commission. So when talking about cloud, right? So security is always the number one concern, right? That we have and also authorities have, right? So however, these can be addressed by having a dialogue with the authorities, and with the support that the cloud providers actually give.
Okay.
Right? We will be able to actually we'll be able to solve this issue. I think another part that I think we face is actually in our line of business, time is actually of the essence, right? Everyone expect live data. They want to make sure, okay, today when I place a sell, I will be able to sell it. So I think when they want to be able to trade anytime, anywhere, right? So I think one of the concern is always stability. So currently our systems, our applications are very stable. Okay. So the question would be, do we, is it the right time to move? Right, when everything is stable, and during MCO, we did have some hiccups here and there, but it was solved within 1 or 2 days, right? Nice. So I think that was always the concern, behind my IT team as well, right? Okay. Is it the time now to actually move to cloud? But I think it's definitely my answer is definitely yes. We do see a lot of benefit moving into cloud, in terms of scalability, time to market, right? For example, just now I said 1 to 2 days. But it can actually be shortened to maybe within hours, right? When you hit a capacity issue, right? So I think it's all these things are part and parcel of when we talk about moving to cloud. I think one of the I would say key driver can't just be cost effectiveness alone, right? You have to look at it from all perspective. How does it assist your business in making it more efficient? More, will be able to promote more creativity. Time to market even faster. So I think all this should be part and parcel of the consideration points when when a company wants to go moving into cloud.
Consideration.
I think all the preparation research work is key to that.
So I guess you obviously have a vendor you rely on, and I guess in the form of Chan, Exabytes is also a vendor. So, did you all build your own cloud, or you rely on the cloud experts, and then you just provide the trusted interface, with the market?
Right. So how we position and also differentiate ourselves is we know there's no way we can compete with all these big cloud providers in terms of their technology and skills. So what we do is we help businesses to actually build their own private cloud, especially for enterprises, by leveraging on those enterprise scale cloud software that's already out there in the market, but also make good use of our experience and strengths available. So we put all this together and help some of the enterprises manage and also run their enterprise cloud. We also provide a hybrid cloud solutions where we will again for some of the customers who are actually more favorable of those public cloud, we can actually help them manage their applications or run their businesses by using the public cloud services.
So I think you got to become a trusted service provider or a technology provider because
certified professionals.
Certified okay. Yeah. Because I see in Singapore what the government did actually, because it's much more micro-managed economy. For SMEs, the government went and did its own role of filtering the technology vendors and then parked some of them into a let's say a sandbox and told all the SMEs that, look, when you want to digitize, and you're talking about digitization / cloud, you can use any one of these people because we've vetted them and you can trust them, because they felt that trust among the business owners was a key issue to go digital also. And I mean, CS, you can jump in also if you think that is also a big concern here. Maybe not so much cost anymore, or not so much. We know it's beneficial, but there are other issues, trust issue. So Singapore, that was the key thing I found quite interesting.
I think trust issue is always there, and but because of pandemic, now everybody get used to going to the cloud, and it reduces, the confidence level getting higher and higher. I think those things will take time to wash away, right? I believe so. And let's see how it goes. You can see the improvement right now from the survey we did, and there are more than 70% of people are really going to digitization.
Okay, so it's good that you are seeing that. So yeah, you're right. 50% who are not digital are ready to go digital. So the trust issue is maybe trust is increasing because it's the only way to go. And then you've got people like Chia out there. Her company also not big, but they're moving along the journey quite nicely. And then Chan, you are seeing more and more customers also, right? Come on and want to explore the journey. But I guess people don't start by saying they want to go to the cloud. They say they just want to digitize some of their businesses, right? Payment, like you say, e-wallet. And I was talking to Kyril from Boost yesterday. So Boost right now has got 8 over million, users. Can you imagine 8 over million? He said when they hit 10 million, they're like a telco database. You're competing. You got the same bunch of customers as the telcos. And he think by the end of this year, you can go to 10 million. So that's a huge amount of customers, all of us, right? People like you and me, or family members, who are now using wallets. And that's why now businesses are also increasing. They are almost hitting 200,000 businesses that are now using the wallet also. It's increasing. So everything is moving in the right direction, only the pace of it. And I do sense that the fear is getting less. But Chan, when your team goes out into the market and Chia, maybe when you talk to some of your peers or whatever, do you sense any doubt still that, hey, can we really trust going to the cloud? You're giving up information to people. It's it's located somewhere else. What is the key concern, Chia, you hear, and Chan, you also are hearing still?
Maybe I'll start first for this. So basically, I think especially for our peers in the industry, and I think, like I said, it's always about security, data security, right? So, but when we look at security, I think we should look at it as like an onion, right? So it's not just one party's sole responsibility. There's a lot of layers that we should be doing. I think it's a joint effort from all from the vendors and also our staff. I mean, it's a whole ecosystem of people, process, and also technology. Where for example, if we are hosting it on cloud and also we're hosting it in another data center. So data center itself must have their own security that's put in place,
Yes,
and then the cloud itself as well. And also, of course, there will be people and processes from our company that would have to have that control in place. All this should make up an ecosystem of security. So I think in terms of trust, to go into security, in terms of security wise, I think people are much more sort of concerned on that part, right? And also, I think data wise, right? But however, for data, I think in Busan, not Busan, I think Bank Negara has actually came up with guidelines on how to allow financial institutions, the guidelines they have to follow to move into cloud, right? If they want to host in the cloud. So I think they have to ensure that the data is actually located in Malaysia itself. So I think that's already cloud providers that actually have multiple cloud locations in Malaysia itself. Yeah. So then I think it's more possible, right, to actually move to cloud for industry like us as well.
Yeah. I think they want it to be the data to reside in the country, and I think Chan, you partner with some of the major cloud players. I think they have a data center, their data centers in the country, right?
Some yes, but else will be at our neighbor. But I just want to echo, the point about trust. I think trust is about how familiar you are with certain things. For example, 20 years ago, I think a lot of people will say, can internet be trusted? Right? 10 years ago, people will say, is internet banking trustworthy or not? Will my dollar missing in my internet banking or not?
Yes.
Right? Yes. 5 years ago, people will say, is Uber, Grab, are they safe? Can they be trusted? But once people start to get familiar with all this and it's proven it's safe, it's reliable, right? I think the trust issue will actually settled by its own. Yep.
Okay, nice. I think you're right. That is what people have support, even with e-commerce, right? So in fact, one of the leading e-commerce players said that the difference between the Generation X and baby boomers and Gen Y and even a Generation Z now, we're at Z, right? Your centennials. He said the older two generations will say, is it safe? Whereas the millennials and this one will say, how fast is it? Because people, it's an instant gratification generation now, right? You're moving into.
Exactly.
So they have no issues with the trust at all. But the fact is that because business owners are generally in the older category, right? In your 30s and above, of course, there are many in the 20s or so. So there is this issue, probably that's why there's natural reluctance or concern also. But from what I'm hearing and from data fresh off the SME Association, so that's why it's so great to have a CS on here, is that also is beginning to now, fade away. Questions are still there. We're not going to say, hey, there are no questions there. But people, the value is so high that people say, hey, we've got to try the journey. So for CS, I guess, do members come to you and ask you for advice? Hey, we want to start our journey. Can you recommend, some vendor to us? Or they just want to hear from you that it is safe and you recommend them. You can start your journey. But of course, like Chia said, start slow, right? Step by step. CS?
Frozen.
Oh, CS is frozen now. Okay.
I think because of the rain as well. I think it was heavy.
It could have affected. But so while CS comes on, Chan, what about for you? Your sales team will come back, right? You always ask them, hey, how was things today and all. So you get a good sense of the market.
So actually, we are using a cloud-based CRM. So by using a cloud-based CRM, I no longer ask those questions. Anytime I log into the system, I have the live updated data, the chart, the numbers, information I need within my fingertips. So I think this is how by embracing the right tools, right, embracing the cloud can actually change how a business operates.
Perfect. perfect example, right? You can see for yourself. You don't need to ask anyone, right? So, going digital and getting on the cloud using some cloud tools empowers the leaders of the company, correct?
Exactly.
CS, are you back with us now?
Yeah.
Do you want to answer the
Somehow
question?
the line is bad.
Yeah, your line is a bit choppy now, but I think people understand because there's been heavy rain earlier.
Can't hear now.
Thunder. I can still hear thunder. But you want to join and share your thoughts now on whether members are coming to you for help, and are they saying, what are they saying to you now as of right now?
Maybe just to touch one point since CS line is not too stable. Yeah. So I think this is also exactly these are actual challenges of adopting cloud. It's not about the trust anymore. It's about our infrastructure, our connectivity. Are they stable and fast enough to support the business and also the consumers to continue to adopt more cloud services? I think that's play a very critical role.
But
it
so
can
for
be
the
seen.
infrastructure,
Sorry, I mean, what Chan mentioned is quite true, because I think like now, right, you can see CS is frozen, right? But that is not because the tools or what is mainly the internet itself.
Yeah.
So technology in terms of telco technologies and all this plays actually a very big part of it as well.
Yeah. But interesting, because there was an interview that came out, and one of the entrepreneurs who helps the B40 says that actually Malaysia's infrastructure in Southeast Asia is of course second behind Singapore. Singapore, small place, and he says our infrastructure is in place for us to. He was talking about in terms of bridging the digital divide. But I feel like the infrastructure is good enough for people to use cloud securely. And I know, like, even 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, Chan, Alibaba Cloud located they built a cloud in Malaysia, right? So they were the first of the big players to have their direct presence in the country, and that's a validation of the infrastructure we have. Would you say that, Chan?
Yes, that's a valid. I think they are probably one of the very first international cloud players who actually set up the infrastructure.
The first, actually, according to them, yeah.
Yes, and I think you can see because of that steps, right? It also helps later on, right? The further development of the whole e-commerce ecosystem, where heavily relies on the cloud infrastructure.
Yeah.
Without the cloud infrastructure, you are not able to support the 11.11, 10.10.99, all these mega sales where the traffic spike, multiple times. Yeah.
Very true. No. I think maybe today the network not so good because of 9.9. The network is trying to recover from yesterday's 9.9. So we don't know how crazy the market went. But I'm not seeing any questions from the audience. Are you all seeing any questions? Because I'm not seeing. I just want to make sure we're all on the same Q&A screen here. There are no questions from the audience, right? So the good thing is, because I'm a journalist, I got too many questions. So I'll go while we're waiting if there is any. So Chia, I think people do sense that, and when I talk to people, they although I hear from both CS and from Chan that people don't, it's not expensive anymore. But is that still a perception among business owners that if you want to adopt the cloud, is still expensive? Or that's not a concern anymore?
I think that is. I think I mean, that's a question. I mean, for us, right, that transform from from we have been doing traditional business, right, to now. I think we actually invest a lot of in our IT infrastructure and all this. So if you couple the whole IT infrastructure cost, right, it could be. I would say the cost itself might be, you might save some, right? It might not be everything. However, there could be a lot of so I mean, I'm just talking from a hardware point of view, right? So for us, maybe we are the small medium enterprise, right? That for us, maybe buying a hardware is maybe cheaper than going on cloud. It could be, right? However, because in cloud you have to have a lot of layers of setup, application, systems, you have database and everything. Like for us, it could be, when we buy the server, it could be in the whole package already, right? But however, I think what we are more concerned on is not just the cost itself.
Okay.
Like I said, it's not just the cost saving ground, but it's about the benefit of scalability, time to market. Because for us to come up with a prototype of maybe trading strategies, right? It could take up to a year, 2 years to actually come up with a valid
really, yeah?
to be published out in public. However, I think with cloud, it could be, we will be able to have multiple test environments, without having to invest, initially in a physical server. That we will be able to do a lot more testing and demo and all these things before we push a trading strategy out as a product. So I think it's a lot of like I said, it's a lot of scalability and time to market. I mean, the speed, right? For us, everything is about speed. A lot of things is about speed, reliable, and being stable as well. So whilst we are racing with time for speed, I think one of the things is also stability. So I think when every single time when I talk to my IT team as well, when we talk about cloud, they say it's so stable now, right? What if we make a transition, we do that, and then it's not handled well, right? We will lose our credibility, we will lose our reputation, and and that is gone. So I think we are taking a very much more, like I said, we take a much more hybrid approach. It's definitely in our blueprint where we will be moving into cloud within the next 3 to 5 years. But I think for our core systems, not just for the internal workflows and processes, but also the core systems like our trading application,
the trading platform, understood.
Trading platform, and even our back office as well. I think like you mentioned, Alibaba actually has the data centers here, so we don't have to worry about data residing outside of Malaysia.
Regulated and compliant, correct.
And also, if I'm not wrong, I think they have a few data centers. It's not just one. So you have the redundancy, everything covered as well.
Okay. That's good to know, lah. So I mean, you guys are well on your way already, and you've overcome whatever challenges there are now. So for you now, what I hear, your biggest challenge when you want to switch to a full cloud platform is whether the stability, reliability is there, consistency, because people are trading, right? Their money is involved in any decision, right? Your customers make.
Yes, everything is about money. So that's why it's even more. We have to be more cautious. But however, I think with sufficient support from a cloud provider or even Chan himself, be able to address all this stability and reliability issue. Because I think the one thing that most of the businesses lack of here is actually the support from the vendors, right? So I mean, they are not too sure, if the vendor is equipped enough to actually support when a business goes to cloud.
Interesting.
They
so that's the Singapore example, right? That's why the government said, okay, we vet everybody for you, you can trust them. So seems like that's in the back of your mind or the people you talk to also. Interesting. And I want Chan to jump in and address this, or even CS also.
So we operate in Singapore as well. About 30% of our customers and revenue are from Singapore. So we kind of like need to meet the Singapore level of standards lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no issue there lah. But because it's great that you got businesses in Singapore, Malaysia. So Chan, do you find there's more of a pickup with your Singapore client base in terms of going digital, going to the cloud, or there's not much difference?
Yes, I can share a little bit more on this because we operate from Malaysia, Singapore, as well as Indonesia. So I think one of the correlation is, right, how ready the cloud, how ready the internet infrastructure is. There's a correlation about the cloud adoption rate. So for example, in both Malaysia and Singapore, we see a very good spike after the March MCO period. Right, because immediately when the market slightly opened back, everyone will quickly jump in and say, okay, I need to sign up and accelerate my the adoptions, right? Because I think our internet infrastructure is ready and we have no choice but need to embrace cloud. But if you compare to other more developing markets, as much as the businesses wanted to embrace cloud, but the first problem is the employees, they only operate using a PC, and the PC is still in the office, right? They don't have laptops. Their home internet connectivity might be limited,
I
right?
see.
So all these are also the constraints, which will affect the cloud adoptions.
Okay, but I think it's working out, as we go. So I was going to bring Prem in because we are down to 3 minutes, and if CS can jump in, but there's a question from Eddie lah. So let's just get his question in. He's talking about being a personal user for analyzing data and stocks. He uses Excel, right? You manually key in your data. She's asking if there's any app where he can extract relevant data to do his analysis. And he's using Stock Hunter and Bursa Market PLC. So this is probably a question that maybe Chia Wei, you can answer. He's asking for a quick tip here.
Yeah, no, I think Eddie, right? So we are actually in the progress, of actually pushing out a product that's actually for Microsoft Excel users, so that they will be able to retrieve data directly, live data, and also trade actually from Excel itself. So just please be patient a little bit, because we are doing our last testing.
Yeah, I think there are also various cloud analytic tools out there. If you know how to plug and play the data source, it can actually do a lot of analysis.
Okay. Maybe Chan, you want to send Eddie a message also and give him a link here, somewhere you suggest. Sounds like you are a retail punter also, I think so. Okay, no, I think
too bored during MCO.
Again, sorry, Chia Wei?
I was saying, must be too bored during MCO. Have to work from home. The only thing you can do is trade stocks.
True. No, but what we'll do is, so Chan, thanks, you immediately responded to Eddie. That's great. So what I'll do is just, although CS is still having problems, so imagine here you have CS, right? He's the former president. He's the chairman of our PCOM. Also, and very tech savvy, but when you got infrastructure problem, it's not about how tech savvy you are. You end up getting stuck at the access point. So it's a good point. I mean, we've come a long way, I know, but there's still a way to go. And that will help people like you, Chan, right, to get more SMEs to come on board. And for the association also to say that the barriers, the infrastructure, technical barriers, in terms of what the access out there are getting lower, you can get on board now and experiment and try. I think all things are heading in the right direction. It's not as easy, you're right? But you need to go, because look, there's no choice, right? The market has moved digital now. Imagine with Boost now, they've got 8 over million e-wallet customers already. That's a huge market, man. Don't you want to tap that? And he's got almost 200,000 businesses or so now that are wallet enabled. And he expects it to go even higher. By the end of this year, 200,000. By next year, he thinks it could even double. So we are at the inflection point for businesses to say we need to go digital. His example is with wallets, but they're also offering analytics, and more is coming. So I think with businesses, there's no choice. It's the way to go. And I think with that now, maybe if Prem, you can come back on and we can give you the closing remarks. Thank you all for still listening. And thank you so much, CS. You played your role. You gave your presentation and you shared the link. Very interesting. I'm going to go and download the link and see all the interesting data points also.
Thanks so much, Karamjit. Thanks so much to our speakers. It was really interesting discussion. From Malaysia's perspective, we've been operating on the cloud, I think, for over 10 years. We were on Azure, then we went to Google. Now we're on AWS, and we use many cloud facilities. So all I can say is it's a great benefit being on the cloud. It's much easier to operate. A lot of tools out there, and it's becoming increasingly common. So I urge all the companies out there to get on the cloud. Just don't use Gmail. There's so many other cloud tools out there which can make your operations much more efficient, not just email. But really, good luck. And if you need any help, the great mentors out there to help you get on the cloud. Absolutely. Thanks so much, everybody. And
thanks to the audience for the privilege of your time also, for all those who are listening in and watching on Facebook.